Are we live? I think we're live. Cool. Awesome. All right. So I decided I wanted to try it again. I kind of enjoyed talking to myself for an hour last week. Well, a few days ago at this point, but thought I'd do it again. I actually put on a decent shirt this time. So usually since I review stuff, lucky for you guys, one of my favorite rap groups, which, yes, this is going to be a biased review because I already like them. They just released an album. So I guess I want to give my opinions on that, some of my thoughts, comments, basically a review. Just without saying review, because I'm not like a critic or anything, and I'm not accredited in any way. This is just my opinion from just some guy. So the album by Brockhampton, that's the name of the group. The album is called it's called Roadrunner New Light New Machine. That's the full title, and makes it sound like I'm trying to dog on the album. I'm really not. The title has a meaning of its own if you know the story behind the album and, you know, some of the things that some of the members have gone through and just what some of the songs are about. It's really about that. It's about like finding a light in, I don't know, this crazy world. I know it sounds all cliche and stuff, but they do it justice. I don't explain it good enough. Okay, so I guess I'll give a little backstory on the group. So Brockhampton, of course, they're a rap group, a collective, a project, a boy band out of actually my home state here in Texas. The group, as far as actual rappers, musicians, I'd say there's about 7 of them. It's a pretty big group, but the group actually extends into producers, you know, like the guys who make the music and stuff. You know, there's the videographers, even the managers, part of their like friend group. And I think in total there's like 15 of them. It's a lot, but it's you would think that something like that would be so crowded and crammed that they wouldn't be able to get anything done, or that it would just seem too much and overwhelming, but it's really not. They're pretty well crafted. So they first kind of entered the scene, kind of blew up, came out of the underground and into the mainstream in 2017, when they actually released a trilogy of albums all within the same year. In fact, I think they were like a month after each other. And that was the Saturation trilogy, Saturation 1, Saturation 2, and Saturation 3. Those brought them into the mainstream because they're just bangers. I mean, those albums are, if you want to be hype, those, and you like rap, you might want to give those a try, really. Very, very hype. So they released those albums. Of course, they were going on tour already, blowing up, and something happened with one of their members. I don't know the full story. I just know it was like one of them was being accused of all this domestic abuse, and it was like proved to have happened. And then he was involved in getting one of the other members of the group like jumped and robbed. And so they removed him from the group. They kicked him out. And everybody was like, "Oh, this is the end of Brockhampton. You know, they're not going to make any more music. They're breaking up." But they didn't, obviously, or else I wouldn't really be giving this review. So they kicked him out of the group. You can say they kicked him out. You can say he left. It's whatever. And so everybody was wondering, are you guys still going to make music? Is the next album going to be about this? Are there going to be diss tracks? So what's going on? and they released their next album after, I don't know how long. I think maybe only a few months or a year. And it was called Iridescence, and it didn't really do that well. It wasn't a bad album. It's not a bad album at all. It's just one of their weakest. Maybe just because I think they were at their weakest creatively because of what they were going through, which they didn't address on the album at all. It was an album that I can tell that they were just trying to prove that they can still make music without the one member, and they didn't really take the time to actually, I guess, cope with what was going on. And so a lot of like, it's just kind of it's like meh, like, yeah, it's good, it's okay. So then their next album, they finally decided that they were going to address the issue, that they were going to make some songs and sort of express themselves on how they felt and what they're going through. And that album was called Ginger. And it was my favorite up until this point. Spoiler alert. It's also their saddest album up until this point. Spoiler alert. And they addressed a lot of the issues, especially on their song Dearly Departed. Even one member specifically, the one who was supposedly jumped and robbed, he very emotionally tells his side of the story, and just they have a lot of that going on. You can tell that the band members were going through a lot, and a lot of the messages on the album are about like finding God and stuff. It's not a Christian album in any way, but it's about that, really. I don't know why it's titled Ginger. I just don't know enough about the band or like the lore behind them. I'm sure there's a reason that everybody's like, oh, dude, it's so stupid as that. I just don't know. I mean, Saturation, that's just a cool name. And on the album covers, they were painted blue, and Saturation is like, it has to do with like color scheme, So that's kind of like that. And Iridescence has to do with, iridescence is basically like light, like glowing. And the cover of that is actually a pregnant woman, but it's a picture of her in infrared. So it's, that makes sense too. A ginger, I don't think there's any gingers on the cover. I don't think there's two people on the cover, but I don't think either one of them are ginger. It's just these two people hugging. You can tell they definitely were going through some stuff, and maybe they're making up or haven't seen each other in a while, or they're just comforting each other. I don't know. It's it's a pretty like sweet album cover. Then they went dark for a little bit. 2019 was their Ginger album, and it was kind of came out, I think, mid to late 2019. Maybe it was early. I don't know. I listened to it a lot, so we didn't hear from them for a while. They were dropping tracks, or at least there was a lot of leaks and stuff, or stuff like people like who were fans who like are in the know with the group, or they were teasing stuff. They were supposed to come out with this album called Puppy, which apparently never got released and is never going to get released. One of the big like things in the community is R.I.P. Puppy. So they never released that album. And other than, as far as like singles and stuff, nobody was hearing from them. So they didn't really know what was going on. Sorry. That was until like 3 or 4 days ago. Well, actually, it was like a couple weeks ago. They dropped a teaser single called Buzzcut. Banger. What a banger. Weird music video. So weird. Borderline scary. And they released another teaser with no music video called Count on Me, which is a very nice, like, kind of like chill, like pop-ish song. Also a good song. It's not meant to be a banger, so like it's not like a hype song, but it's a good song, if you know what I mean. Um, and so they had the two teaser tracks, and everybody was waiting for the album, including me, because I was like, if this is what the album is going to be like, this is going to be a good album. And then it dropped like 3 days ago, and it actually dropped like in the middle of the night, and I was like really mad because I was like, I want to listen to it, but I need to go to sleep, which I could have listened to it, because the only complaint I have about this album, it's just too short. It's too short. I just wish there was more. I wish it was longer. That's the only complaint that I really have at all. In fact, let me look at the runtime of the album, because this thing is just not long at all. Is it not gonna show me? Or hang on. Oh, that's so weird. It's not gonna show me the runtime. Okay. Anyway, it's very short. So I could have listened to it that night, but I was also pretty tired. So I was like, I want to be able to be like awake and hyped for it. So I listened to it the next day, and I was really kind of blown away. You know, I knew I was gonna like the album because I liked the last one and I'd liked the group, but I didn't expect that I was gonna fall in love with it in a non-sexual way. Unless. But this is definitely my favorite album thus far. And the sad news about the whole thing is, including this album, they're like the head of the group, the main member, because he's also, I guess, their main songwriter. He's like the main director for their videos, the executive producer. He said they're only making 2 more albums, and this is one of them. And so they said the next one's coming later this year, which I think is too soon. But of course, they've been known to drop more than 1 album in a year. In fact, I think they dropped 4 in 1 year. But I haven't even really given my opinions on the album other than just the fact that I like it. I don't know what to say. I mean, it's their most mature album, I think, as far as where they know what they're doing by this point. I mean, they knew what they were doing in Saturation, like the whole trilogy, but that also just felt like a bunch of young people with just all this energy and all this aggression, and they just want to get it out, and like it was good. And then Iridescence was like, they're in a funk and they don't really know what to do. But Ginger was like, you know, they're getting on the right track and they're starting to go somewhere. And this is them getting there. They have, I think, achieved. I mean, I don't want to say the best that they can be, because there's always room for improvement for anything, anybody, anywhere, doing anything. But this is where they've been heading, and I think they know it, and they made it. This is definitely their most professional album. I mean, the production is. I mean, I'm still kind of a music amateur, so like as far as like producing music, I don't know much about, but I do have a pretty good ear. So sometimes I can tell when something just seems kind of like mudded together, where like everything's just thrown and mixed and nothing seems to be placed in where it's supposed to be. But in this, everything is perfectly put. I mean, they planned this out. It's only 13 songs, but it is such a tightly packed 13 songs. Not only are there like 6 or 7 members of the group, they have, I think, 4 or 5 featuring artists on here. and sometimes in more than one song. Their longest song is called Windows. It's like 6 minutes, and I think there's 4 or 5 different people who rap on the whole song, but it doesn't feel that way. In fact, I wished it was longer. It could have been longer, and I wouldn't have cared. It could have been a 10-minute song, and I would have been with it the whole way. Everybody comes to eat on this record. They really do. They show up with a plan, and they perfectly execute it, and then they leave with a mic drop. If, like I said, if you like hip hop at all, if you like rap music, pop music, even a little bit of R&B, they kind of have some stuff like that on here. Even maybe not on this album, on others. Give this album a listen. They have a pretty big following, but not as big as a following as like Lil Baby or DaBaby or like Kendrick Lamar, who I also like. They don't really have or like Drake. They don't have a following like Drake, and I think they definitely deserve one. So this album is worth a listen. It's worth giving them a shot, showing them some love. Because at least I'm hoping that at least after the group is broke up, that there will still, well, not broke up, but they'll stop making music, at least under the name Brockhampton. I'm hoping with that we can get some solo projects out of this. And I feel like it doesn't have to be this album specifically, but I feel like if people show Brockhampton enough love, it'll inspire some of the members to have their own solo projects. One of them already does. Kevin Abstract. He already has some of his solo projects, and I think so does Bareface. That's another member. But I want to see some solo projects from like Joba. Roadrunner is definitely a spotlight for Joba. He's also, I think, my favorite member. Like I said, there's some bias there. But every album he's on, he takes on a different personality and does it all so well. He can go from crazy, like absolute batshit scream rap to actually like singing, like full on singing and melodically, but he can also flow at the same time. And then he can also like rap slower and just, he's extremely talented. And that's part of the reason why he's my favorite. I would also like to see, I would just like to see solo projects from all of the members. Even Matt Champion, I feel like he's one of the, although I like him a lot, I feel like people kind of sleep on him a bit. So I think he should get his own career and sort of make a name for himself, where people realize, oh shit, I've been sleeping on this guy. And I definitely want to see some stuff from Merlin. He's also he's usually almost always the one with the most energy out of the group. When Joba's not screaming his heart out, Merlin is there. Merlin is he's the, I don't know, like he's the engine, I guess, that propels the train of Brockhampton. That's where all of the energy is sort of located, is within Merlin. And some good water. So this album here that you can't see at all because this is a terrible mic. Is that better? Maybe. It's backwards, so that's cool. Give it a listen. The album cover is kind of weird. People don't really like it. I like it because it has to do with the meaning of the album, but people are going to look at it and think they're looking at it wrong. I also want to talk about, I recently, I don't want to say I discovered it. YouTube recommended it to me, and I was like, okay. And then I listened to it, and I was like, oh, it's kind of cool, actually. I feel like everybody knows I almost forgot her name, Dolly Parton. Everybody knows the Dolly Parton song, Jolene. So this guy has it on a little 45 record but he slows the RPM down to 33. So you know how everybody kind of makes these like songs, but they slow it down and add reverb, and they think that it's like a remix, and they think like, "Ooh, it's so chill," or "Oh, it's so sad now." Maybe it works for some songs. I don't know. I don't really like that kind of stuff. If you do, it's okay. But this isn't really like that. They're actually just slowing down the song, but not digitally, physically, because it's a record, so it's analog and it's spinning, and it's a needle, but they slowed down the rotation. So I want to play it because it like adds a whole new groove to the song somehow. Like just slowing it down, it even though it's slower, I feel like it's more hype. Just because the guitars to me are more pronounced, so you can actually like hear like the kind of chord progression, or well, not really chord progression because it's like it's a loop. They play the same notes, but like I'll just play it. I'll just play it. Also, it goes from being Dolly Parton to like some guy, just from slowing it down because it's down pitched. Everything's down pitched. So I'm gonna play it. That's an ad. That is not the song. And I can't skip it. We have 5 more seconds of this, and that's just not good. Okay, here we go. This is the song. Isn't that cool? I don't know why I like it so much. I'm gonna let that play. I have no idea how loud this is on the mic. I hope it's not like clipping and that it's overtaking my audio. Because I know this is a terrible mic, and my phone speakers are really good. They're like decent. They're pretty loud. Beyond compare, with flaming locks of auburn hair, with ivory skin, eyes of emerald green. Your smile is like the breath of spring, your voice is soft like summer rain, and I cannot compete with you, Jolene. He talks about you in his sleep. There's nothing I can do to keep from crying when he calls your name, Jolene. I think you get it now at this point. I don't want to just play the full song or anything. I don't know if I can get like, I mean, I'm not monetized or anything, but I feel like I can still get copyright striked, and then the studio can take the song, and then they can make the money off of my video that I can't even make money off of my own videos. Yeah, I don't know why, but just the fact that it's slowed down. Because I already liked the song. I liked the groove of the guitar. I don't know why. It's just like it's just something that makes you want to, you know. But just slowing it down, it's just like I don't know. It's more pronounced. You could hear each string being like plucked because before it's a lot faster. So it's just like, okay, oh, that kind of sounds cool. But then this one, it's just like, oh wow, that's actually what they were doing. And it's just when it's downshift, I don't know. I don't. Something about it is just cool, and I like it. So whoever discovered that, I feel like it was by accident. Good one, man. Good one. Good one. We're about. I want to say we're about halfway through the stream already. Waiting for somebody to make an appearance, and they might not, and that's okay. Oh, let me let this guy know. Oh, where's that other guy? I'm sorry. fucking stupid. Okay, I don't know. I'm gonna do what I did in the last stream. It might be like a regular thing I do, and I'm gonna review another movie on my shelf. So it's time for another biased review of a movie that I've already seen and probably already like or already dislike. Oh hi. There are actually some movies on my shelf that I haven't seen. I just ended up with the DVD and never watched it. And honestly, probably don't plan to. Like I said, I'm biased, so like I'm not a huge Vin Diesel fan, so I probably am not gonna watch Pitch Black or Riddick. Sue me, I don't care. I don't even have the money. So I'm gonna turn this way again, and I'm gonna use this little guy, and I'm gonna point. I'm gonna wave it around, and I'm gonna turn to see where I'm pointing. And so it's something in that area. So I'm just gonna have to pick. I'm trying to hold it steady. It keeps moving. You guys are gonna think that I was pointing at something else and then moved it to whatever I like more. You know what? Next time I'm gonna come more prepared. I'm gonna have like a thing on my phone, and I'm gonna have all these on a list, and I'm just gonna have it shuffle through. You know what? No, forget the whole pointing thing. I'm just gonna look at my list and just actually find a movie that I really like that I want to tell you guys about. In fact, I'm gonna find one that I really like and one that I really don't. Okay, I will be right back. Give me that shit. Okay. So the two movies I have: War of the Worlds, 2005, Tom Cruise, Dakota Fanning. Okay. And hold on. Shit. I actually just remember all that by heart, like when it came out, who's in it, stuff. Also because they've made so many War of the Worlds and Fight Club. There's only one Fight Club, so everybody kind of knows when that came out, who's in it. And I guess you guys can already see the bias here because I remember one but not the other. And so first, just to save the negativity for last, and since I just did a review of something that I like and I'm in a good mood, War of the Worlds. So I'm biased again with this movie because I grew up with it and it used to scare the hell out of me as a kid. But looking back and watching it, which I haven't too recently, I've seen it like the past couple of years, which I guess is recent enough. This movie was like ahead of its time. For 2005, even to this day, the special effects and like the graphics, the CGI, it still stands. It looks fantastic. Like really, it looks great. And I think a lot of people sleep on this movie, and I know that Steven Spielberg could be overrated sometimes. Just look at the B movie, but I mean, I wouldn't say that this is Tom Cruise at his best, but I have my own opinions for Tom Cruise's acting. As far as acting, it's not. He always just he's like a face actor, and by that I mean he doesn't really act with his face. It's more of a lack thereof. Like his version of a reaction is just to just stare at shit. He just and he's always like what, huh? No, and I mean, he's probably not one of my favorite actors, but he's really good at action and he does his own stunts. Of course, he's one of those. I make that sound bad. I actually have a lot of respect for people who do their own stunts, and I don't bash people who don't because that stuff is dangerous. In fact, Tom Cruise broke his ankle while doing Mission Impossible Fallout, which, yeah, it's one of my favorite action movies like ever, just because the action's so. Yeah, whatever. I'm just rambling, but extremely impressive. You know, I give the guy props for that, and especially since he's like in his 50s now and he's still doing this. Like, cool, it's great. Scientology. I'm not going to talk about that at all. But I have not seen the new miniseries they're making out of War of the Worlds. In fact, I don't even know where to find it. And I'll be looking right after the stream of where I can watch that. And I'll probably have to pay for it, which means I won't be able to watch it because I don't have any money. You know, nothing's free nowadays. You know. But in case you don't know what War of the Worlds is, it's actually based on the H.G. Wells novel that was written in like 1896, I think. It's actually really old, and it's so impressive how much this guy, like, I don't say knows about aliens because, like, do we really know anything about aliens? It's all just kind of like a guess, but like, I guess the imagination for that time and how much he was able to create a story like this, because you think that back then that all the stories are like westerns or medieval stories, and he said, nope, I'm going to make a story about aliens. um let's see. 1898, that's crazy. It's crazy how old it is. And as far as movies, of course, there was the original one from 1953, which I guess is a classic of its own, maybe. Um, oh God, there was, of course, 2005 War of the Worlds with Tom Cruise, and then there's War of the Worlds: The Next Wave in 2008, which is a movie I didn't even know about until like 2013. Um, for good reasons. Oh man, this movie, from what I remember, oh, oh. Okay, for one, it's not even Steven Spielberg. For two, the budget's $500,000, which for a movie that's supposed to be a sequel to a movie as big as War of the Worlds by Steven Spielberg is just terrible. Oh my God, I actually have to watch this movie again. I'm going to because I just, oh man. Oh, I forgot about this movie. But they have come out with a new miniseries. It came out in like 2019. Oh, look at that. I can watch it for free on Tubi. And Tubi is a free service, so I think I might have a review or two for you guys next week. I have Pluto on my phone, actually. I already know it's immediately going to be playing. Let me mute that. Is there a search on here? I hope there's a search. Okay, so there doesn't seem to be a search option on here, which, why? Why is this app just so awful? maybe it's just phone, or maybe I'm just dumb, but I do not like Pluto TV. They don't give you a search option. Um, Whenever you open the app, something is playing. So you like, if you don't want it, you can't turn it off. You can't pause it. You can only mute it, but it's still going to be playing. And I think that's dumb. Um, anyway, on to my next review, which is a very unpopular opinion, um, because of how much this movie is loved. And I feel like most people who quote it, of course, they only usually say the one quote. You don't talk about Fight Club. Rule number two, you don't talk about Fight Club. Yeah, okay. I feel like a lot of people haven't seen the movie; they just know it. I have seen the movie more than once. I still don't get it. This movie still confuses me, and I'm not an idiot, because there are other movies like, say, Inception, that everybody thinks is so goddamn confusing, and I could give you a full in-depth rundown of that movie. I've seen it so many times, and I still find something new every time I watch it, and I could give you like in depth just information about that movie. This one, while I know what they do, right, and I know that Tyler and our other main character, basically Brad Pitt and Edward Norton, they're supposed to be the same guy, and that Tyler Dorchin is like a figment of the other guy's imagination. But what's funny is like, okay, so for one, when you go into this movie, don't expect it to be about Fight Club, because it's barely in there. Um, and that's not really the point of the movie, though. And then they even have soap on the cover of the movie, and like the main like slogan of the movie involves soap, but that's also kind of barely in there. I mean, the soap is there because it has to do with like this that leads into that goes into this, that goes into that, or whatever. But okay, so what I'm trying to say is a lot of the things don't make sense if they're supposed to be the same person. How can they be in two different rooms while one event is going on? Like, there's a part where Tyler is, having some fun with his lady friend, but Edward Norton is downstairs while the house is like rattling because it's an old house. But so it turns out anywhere that Tyler is, that's where Edward Norton's character is, and so that means he's actually upstairs with the girl, right? How can he be downstairs or know what's going on downstairs? You know what I'm trying to say? And there are times where I think he calls himself on the phone as Tyler, but from like a completely different place. So which place is he in? And I know that's the whole point of the movie. It's supposed to make you think, well, which place is he in? So if like which part of him is the made up part? Because if everywhere he is, that's like where he is, then how about the other guy? And that's the whole point. I know, I get it. I'm gonna try to watch it again, maybe, because it's been a few years. So maybe now that I'm older, I'm a bit more like experienced with like movies and like watching confusing movies and getting it. Maybe I might get it. And I know it was a lot funnier than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be like a really contemporary, like really like it does fuck with your head, but like I thought it was going to be like a whole like whoa, like, and you're supposed to like question life or anything, but it's actually just mainly a comedy, and it's pretty funny actually. There's a part in there where he's talking about being like the projector operator at a movie theater, and that you have to switch. And this is when they were still using film in movie theaters. So he was talking about when you switch out the film rolls, his job is to attach the pieces. But what he'll do is right in between the switch, he'll throw in like I think like 5 frames of like porn. So when they're going to watch a kids movie, and it shows all the mothers sitting there with their kids and they're watching the kids movie, and for like 5 frames, it happens so quick they're not even sure if it happened. They just see porn, and it's that idea is just actually really funny. Um, and just a lot of the like him arguing with himself, and like it's so there's a lot of scenes where during the fight clubs he's fighting with Tyler Dorchin, then you find out he's really just beating himself up in some parking lot somewhere. and people think he's crazy. And a lot of the dialogue with Edward Norton and Helena Bonham Carter, those are all really funny because she's just such a strange character in this movie, isn't she? In like every movie at this point. So there's still praise for this movie. I don't hate it. I just don't get it. And maybe I might get it one day. Maybe I might not. Maybe it's the fact that I do get it, and I just didn't know that that's what I'm supposed to be getting. Like maybe what I'm supposed to be getting is that you're not supposed to get it, and that it's supposed to not make any sense, and that the guy's just fucking crazy. Which if that's supposed to be it, I totally get it. Then makes me like the movie more. I'm gonna try to watch it again. So I'm gonna hopefully by next week I'm gonna. Well, I don't want to promise because knowing me, I'm actually probably not going to get around to it, but I'm going to try. Hopefully, I'm going to try. I don't know, but I want to. I want to watch this again. I want to watch War of the Worlds again. Well, I don't need to watch that again. I've seen it enough times to be able to go through it pretty well, and my opinion is going to stay the same on it. But I'm going to watch the new one and maybe the 2008 sequel, supposed sequel to the one from 2005, which doesn't have any of the same characters or studios, I think, or directors, producers. I'm actually looking forward to watching that. So a bit of a shorter stream today. I want to say about 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes shorter, but for anybody who tuned in at any point during the stream, or for anybody who tunes in afterwards, thank you for being here. I hope you've gained something from this, whether it's like good or bad. Like if you learned very valuable lessons to just not watch my videos, you're welcome. I'm glad that I was able to teach you that, you know. But I guess that's it for now. Doesn't look like anybody else is going to be joining me, and that's okay. If they come back and say, "Oh man, I'm sorry, I was busy," which I get, people get busy, you know, and they either say, "I'll make the next one," I'll gonna wait, or I might go live again. Who knows? Who knows? So unpredictable. Isn't that what everybody wants from their content creators? They don't want a schedule, right? They don't want to know when they're going to get a video. They want unpredictability and just somebody who takes as long as they possibly want, which I try not to take too long. I at least try to go on like a weekly basis. I hope this one was as good as the last one. Maybe better, maybe worse. Who knows? But I'm going to stop rambling, and I think I'm just going to end it here. Thanks, guys.